So good morning, I'm here with Matt Schweickert, Chief Strategy Officer at the Home Depot. Good morning, Matt.
Good morning.
Thank you very much for your fascinating keynote. Had a few questions for you. So the first one, you used some interesting terms. So the first was liquid expectations. Could you just tell us a little bit about what do you mean by liquid expectations?
Sure, it's basically that, at this point, a consumer has so many different touch points with different components of retail that drive such different experiences. Some of them may not actually pertain originally to DIY, but what they're doing is they're saying, if I can have that experience at a coffee shop, that experience at another retailer, that experience online, why can't that be the same experience across every company I touch? And so really what it is driving is customer expectations have changed dramatically, their expectations have changed dramatically, and whether or not that traditionally meant that it should have been for home improvement is irrelevant because their expectations have changed. So it's really where they're taking the best of all their individual experiences and saying, this is how I expect you to interact with me, period. And so we have to adapt to that.
Okay, all right, yeah. And then the second thing, you gave us a little biology lesson with bats and dolphins and things. So tell us about how does convergent evolution impact DIY and home improvement?
Sure, quite simply, I think that, we're seeing a period where, again, convergent evolution in biology, when there's a rapidly changing environment, is it's different species that start off different and emerge and develop the same characteristics to adapt to that environment. Okay. And so if you think about it in home improvement, historically for the last 100 plus years, home improvement has been about the store, has been about brick and mortar, has been about a different experience, whereas e-commerce, and I would argue that they started as a different species, has been about a whole different component and set of experiences. But over time, what we're seeing is that if you're only brick and mortar in a time of changing and liquid customer expectations, you die. If you're only e-commerce, you're likely to have that same fate. It's only those that can make the migration to this new state where you're blending the best of both experiences, physical and online, that we think will be able to survive.
Okay, so quite challenging environment. And then you talked about how your retail playbook for the last 4 years will need to change for the next 4+ years. So how's the Home Depot retail playbook changing?
Yeah, pretty dramatically, really from a complete rework. And really when we think about it internally is, historically we planned for the business very much on a siloed approach. So the online business was planned separately, the stores were planned separately, supply chain was planned separately. But now, as this convergent evolution happens and our need to kind of come together has changed, the matrix elements of our business have increased dramatically. So what that means is that communication is key all the way through the organization, because now online is as dependent on supply chain, is as dependent on stores, and that interconnected experience means the level of collaboration and cooperation internally has to change. And so that's when we talk about the playbook being different over years. It's no longer that an individual store can make their own decisions, because that individual store, what they're doing in that store, impacts what we're doing online, on our mobile app, and impacts across the organization. So it's really that change.
Okay. So then one last question, you mentioned the phrase interconnected experience. You said that Home Depot is doubling your investment. So where are you doubling the investment to create this interconnected experience?
Sure. So we're doubling our investments from what normally been about $5.5 billion a year, over 3 years, to about $11 billion over the next 3 years. And so if you think about the big areas of investment, it's around the supply chain and it's around our stores. And so as the two big elements. So if you think about our stores, we're going to invest $5 billion. Again, we want our stores to actually reflect what your experience is like online. We want online to reflect what your experience is in a store. And so that's as simple as things like wayfinding. So the same wayfinding that you'll navigate through online, when you walk into a store, will be familiar to you, because that's the same way we actually lay out the stores and the format and the wayfinding. And if you think about supply chain and the interconnected elements there, it's investing $1.5 billion to allow you to buy online, pick up in a store, buy online, have things delivered from a store, buy online, have things shipped to a store. And so that supply chain investment about how you integrate with the store, and also how you get product from our distribution centers to your front doorstep, which is a different, again, part of an investment that traditional retailers have done. So that's part of the interconnected experience.
Okay, well, Matt, thank you very much. It's been really fascinating. Thanks for sharing your experiences with the conference, and best of luck.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.